Hi, and welcome to this session where we will focus on academic writing. Academic writing is the writing style you need to undertake while completing any undergraduate or postgraduate science-based degree. It is critical throughout your university studies and can make or break your grades quite easily, so it's really important you focus on this and get it right. I am Simon Dawson. I'm a senior lecturer in the School of Sport and Health Sciences at Cardiff Met University, and I welcome you to this short session. Now, within this session, we are going to really focus on what the difference is between academic writing, what journalistic writing is, because there is a difference between these. We'll look at how to ensure that you are writing to an appropriate academic standard. We'll also look at some good and some bad examples using published research and some things that you definitely should not be doing within any publications that you are submitting for marking. So what actually is academic writing? This is a formal writing style that is clear, concise, focused, and has a structure from the start to the end. Now, with all scientific research, you have to ensure that the data, which is the information that you are reading, researching, and writing about, it's unbiased and it's truthful to the best of your knowledge. Now, this is carried out by finding, analysing, and evaluating information, and through your writings, you're going to aid the reader to understand. When you're writing any academic papers, you need to refer to what the evidence states, not what you've heard or read based on something that you saw on a blog site or something like social media such as Facebook or TikTok. If you look at this video, for example, taken from TikTok, it is an example of potentially quite dangerous information. This lady claims she has never been ill because she eats raw chicken. It's very, very bad advice. Raw chicken can contain a whole host of pathogenic microorganisms, which can make you very sick, could hospitalise, and could potentially be fatal. If we begin with what science is, as this is the focus of your studies. In its simplest form, science is the pursuit of knowledge and understanding based on evidence. It is carried out systematically through experiments, observations, and the key word here is evidence. Factual evidence. So when you're writing anything academically, you need to look at the facts and the evidence. And when you are including any facts, things like dates, times, figures in your writings, make sure these are backed up by evidence, which is shown through appropriate citations and references. For example, it is estimated that 600 million people get foodborne illness globally every year, and of this, 33 million people die. Now, this is pretty alarming news. But with your science hat on, you've now got to think and critically analyse this data. Who estimated this figure? When? How is it carried out? How reliable is the source of this information? Is there any other research that supports or contradicts this statement? This is what you should be challenging as academic learners. So if you are stating any facts and data like this, remember to use appropriate citations and references to evidence. And when you're writing anything academically, the purpose of this is to aid the reader's understanding of that subject. Now, academic writing does not require fancy, complicated vocabulary. It's not about creating some kind of funny narrative or thoughts. You're not there to try and make people laugh. You're not there to provoke them with high impact words. So please don't use emotive, grandiose terms. They're just not needed. Words like magnificent, impressive, love, superb, appalling, eager, enthusiastic, they're not appropriate in an academic paper. They're subjective, they're open to interpretation. Likewise, if you're discussing things like foodborne pathogens, using terms such as bugs, nasty bacteria, it's just simply not appropriate at a degree level. Now, this takes us on to journalistic writing and what this is. If you're currently studying at university or you're going through university at the moment, you may have seen this as one of your comments in a submission. Journalistic writing, please write more academically. It's a style of writing that is used by news reporters, TV broadcasters, and it's more frequently used when you're talking to your friends and family. Sentences are short, you get to the point quickly using emotive, grandiose words, and there may be a lack of evidence to support your claims. In saying that, the articles may focus on only part of the evidence, making it appear more shocking than the science actually completely states, and it may miss the science altogether in this. So, like with these headings here, Apart from this last one, which is just fake news completely, but it caused a bit of a stir when it was released. You need to be keeping away from articles like this. So when writing to an academic standard, you should always plan before writing. And this is really important and it's often overlooked. Plan what you're going to write first, and this will help prevent you from rambling on about insignificant points and spending too long focusing on one aspect and not looking at the overall picture of what you're meant to be doing. And remember to only use academic, credible sources of information when you're doing the research side, such as research journals, trade journals, government websites, published books. You also have to ensure you follow the correct referencing format for your university or publication house. And if you're writing for a specific journal, it's really important to be consistent here and throughout your piece of work that you're writing. At Cardiff Met, we only use the Harvard referencing format, so keep to this throughout. There's lots of other common formats that you will see, things like APA or the author date format, Modern Language Association, American Mathematical Society, Chicago Modern Humanities Association, Vancouver, can go on and on. And there's actually different styles of these references as well. So be very careful and follow your university's guidelines or the journal that you're going to be publishing in, and make sure you follow that. Now, with any academic paper you're writing, these are not designed to be fancy and colourful. You haven't signed up to an art class when you're doing this. So therefore, any figures and diagrams should only be used where relevant and not just to brighten up a page. Also, it can be easy to fall into a trap of using excessive quotes, as you might read something and think, wow, that's really good that. I'll quote the whole lot. But you can't just do this, okay? Yes, you can use quotes, but use them sparingly and only in small amounts to reinforce some of the points that you're making. But remember that you're submitting your own work. You're not submitting somebody else's work. Therefore, try to keep quotes down to a minimum. Now, to help with this, I would highly recommend you get a handful of academic journal articles, preferably from a few different good impact factor journals. And when you're reading these articles, look at how they're presented, look at their layout, how each has shown the diagrams, the figures, how they're all titled, how they refer to these in the text. Look at the grammar, the writing language, and the tone of writing, and you'll notice that they're all right in a third party as well. So all of these are critical to publishing a paper, therefore also have to be critical to your submissions at a university as well. And also remember how they've been cited and referenced, because obviously that's really important. Now, I have an example from a published journal to show you now, and this is taken from the Journal of Applied Microbiology, and it is a great example of an excellent piece of written research. I would recommend you read this whole article and others similar to this. And what I've copied here is just the first paragraph from the introduction only. But what you will see here, it's I've provided the Harvard reference style above here, and what you'll see when you're looking through this is that you see that the bacteria is being written in italics. Big tick, you should be doing this. What you will also see is that it's clear, it's easy to read and understand, so it hits the assignment brief fully, and this sort of piece of work will easily achieve high distinction marks. However, let's take that same article now and fill it fraught with spelling mistakes. Your bacteria is not highlighted in italics now, and you're randomly changing fonts and it just looks a bit messy. This is going to immediately drop your marks, and you may be now in the 50s and the 60s just by doing this. And now let's look at the same piece of work again, however this time there's no citations. Exact same writing, get rid of all the citations and all the references. Now what you have here is there's no evidence. And remember, science focuses on facts and science-based evidence. So if you cannot provide this, how do we know that you're writing the right information? How do we know that you're not just making this information up? We cannot. And you will lose a lot of marks for this. You could be into your 50s or even lower. You could even fail a submission simply by not including any evidence. And the last example I'll show you now, this is the new kid on the block, and it's called paraphrasing, and it's bad. You have all read this article now, articulated it. You can see how it's well constructed and it's easy to follow. Now let's put that exact same article through an online paraphrase tool. Now what you have now is completely illegible. It simply doesn't make sense. If this was submitted, it shows that you don't understand the subject, the language, and it is effectively unpublishable. And what's more, it makes us wonder if you actually have submitted your own work or you've copied it from somewhere else and you've put it through some paraphrasing software instead. So the marks now. Now, if this was submitted, you would instantly fail. You could be in the 20s or even lower than this. So you can see now, by in academic writing, you can go from a 90 plus submission very quickly down to something in the 20s or below, just by your writing style. And when you are graded at any submission, this is always based on the content and the ease of understanding. So if you have followed the assessment brief fully, your grammar, your spelling, your presentation style are all appropriate for a scientific paper, and you've followed the correct evidence format with your reference and your citations, and the whole submission flows, you're going to receive a high mark, or you're most likely to receive a high mark. So just compare your work with some published articles in a reputable journal and look at the differences. Look at your language style and theirs. See how they compare with each other. For further advice, pretty much every academic institute, such as Cardiff Met, has an academic skills unit, and ours is fantastic. It's very supportive of a highly skilled professional team. They're here to help and support you with your academic ability throughout your time while at Cardiff Met University. I would highly recommend when you first enter into a university, if it's a new institute, you haven't been here beforehand, that you can use these facilities to the best of your ability. And the earlier you can develop your writing and your research skills and your critical appraisal skills, the easier and more enjoyable your journey will be. Well, hope you found this useful. Take care, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.